This is a second part of the interview with Gunter Logemann from Microsoft. We talk about Roboverse platform and business cases which can be realized with this technology. Look around on this channel to find the first part. Don't forget to subscribe to make sure we can notify you about new content. You are listening to Limcor's SPOTcast, pushing the limits of innovation and productivity in business and daily life.
This is exactly the power of Roboverse platform, where you indeed can integrate the robot itself, which cannot necessarily have to be a robot. It can also be an existing IoT device or your camera monitoring system, where you simply plug and play to our black box, right? And you keep your existing system running, and additionally, you add those AI features, for example, right? Because adding AI skills into the robots, for example, is as easy as turning on a skill for your smart home speaker. Yes. However, I don't want to, spoil too many features and too many news about our platform itself for robotics, because this may come again on the stage one of Microsoft conferences. Just for reference, this year, 2021, we've been already at Microsoft Build, we've been at Microsoft Ignite, we've been at Microsoft Inspire, where we show the use cases, when we give couple updates, what we are doing with the customers, what we are doing also with Microsoft Germany, great use case about inspection on the cars. We've been at Microsoft Inspire, where we're talking about our integration with one of our customers, Phoenix Contact, and their smart building system. However, again, let's not spoil too much. It will definitely come more and more in 2022. However, 2021 for me is still not over yet. At the time when we are recording this podcast is December, end of December 2021. Gunter, can you tell the audience from your perspective what robotic innovations which will announce in 2021 were interesting for you, or maybe not only robotics features, not only robotics announcement, but maybe AI skills, AI components which are related for robotics, are important for robotics?
Yeah, so it's actually an interesting question, because so when you are like in roboticist for many years now, and you're working in this environment with a lot of partners, it's actually the innovation is actually not that great, to be honest, right? To just be completely open. There are areas and changing people, or the big change is really at the moment that robotics become more and more commodity and are really adapted in different user scenarios. And so there are a lot of technologies which are improving. And as I said, we built a lot of components for this. We have built a lot of components for ROS1, for example. One of the technical change is really that people realize that we have to change things in the technology point of view. We really need to make sure that we have a better security level. We really need to make it easier to adapt those things, to build this into larger applications. And one of the motion is really the whole ROS industrial move. So ROS2 is a big topic at the moment from the technical point of view. But there's also a lot of AI work. So a lot of new SLAM algorithms, a lot of new developments in working with different algorithms, for example, for all sorts of navigation. So from our mixed reality team, there was an Linux SDK, for example, for Azure Spatial Anchors, what was demonstrated together with robots. So these are really big announcements on really big developments. And then you see a lot of different improvements on the hardware side as well, right? So make it easy, run really powerful AI models on devices. For example, the NVIDIA platform is there, but also the AMD platform with a lot of things. Our Onyx ROS node, what we have published, makes it easy to run AI models on in ROS stacks on different platforms, hardware accelerated or not. And so this is really, I think, the big news this year. I mean, it's a long development, of course, and it's more to come, and it's getting better and better. But it's really, I think, the biggest news is actually that now robotics, and especially mobile robots, becoming more and more mature, and there's more adaptation in this. And especially when we work together, I mean, we see really the need of or the ask from customers where they really want to adapt these type of things. And it's not just POC anymore. It's real development where you can really put a price tag to the robot and to the solution and really create revenue or optimize your manufacturing line, or you even can have a real need for these type of robots. And for example, the inspection use case where we are working against mostly at the moment is probably one of the number one use case at the moment, where you have a lot of customers who want to do this, who need to do this because of reporting and things, and whereas in most cases no real alternative. Right. And I think that's from my point of view the big news. And after almost I would say 15 to 20 years working on these type of applications, it's a real game changer that now this becomes reality, and robots are really accepted in this environment and doing useful jobs, and not just standing around and you get annoyed about those.
Let us give a couple examples, right, for the audience. Basically, even a spot like Boston from Boston Dynamics, many people say, okay, it's $100,000, right? But for many cases, it is still the price tag of a company car sometimes, right?
Yes.
So it's still not a high price tag, and especially when you talk about use cases like, for example, in the atomic power plants, which are about to be decommissioned, right? We've seen a lot of pictures from Chernobyl, where indeed Spot from Boston Dynamics was tested, or other atomic power plants. You probably have seen on LinkedIn a couple images, the Spot being put in the foil, like aluminum foil, to go through and do the inspection checks instead of sending people there, which is dangerous area there, and we don't want to get people hurt.
Yeah, and I think this is really important, right? So whenever you think about using a robot in this application, you need, first of all, does it make sense? And you need to think about, does it really change something to your business model instead of just having a cool technical implementation? And this is where a lot of robotics companies, to be honest, and also we as platform builders, sometimes we are really driving this from the technical innovation point. But this doesn't give you any market. It doesn't give you any use in the end, because it will, in most cases, only lead into the situation where you get in conflicts and competing between robots and humans, which have done the job in the same time, right? Or even better and faster and cheaper. So a robot doesn't make sense in this particular use case.
Yeah,
right?
And this is the main reason why we started a cool offering for our customers with the name Robotics in a Day, where we come to the premises of the customer with our robots, with Spot, with Magni, or a couple other stuff, with a lot of payloads. We bring the newest payload from Leica BLK ARC, to create 3D models, for example, to do the 3D scan with a laser camera. And this is a cool day where the customer really sees, okay, what is indeed feasible, what is possible, how those robots really work. And then the fantasy starts working on the customer side as well. And this is exactly the point we say, okay, now let us focus the most. as you have seen really on your own eyes how it works, how it is also our Roboverse platform itself, right? How robust it is, how generic it is, how universal it is. Now you can really focus together with us to define the business cases, how your processes can be automated. And to give you an example from one of our customers, right? We are talking about inspection of assets, a huge asset, which normally to be inspected, the walls itself, because this is an asset which is moving, has to be done by a group of 6 people for 3 months. And what they are doing, they're basically 8 hours a day go with flashlights and look after cracks in the wall, which are as small as a human hair. So this means those people have to rotate a lot. Why? Because human eye is getting tired fast, and the robot instead will not get tired. Okay, maybe the battery will get low, so then you have to go back to the docking station to reload the batteries autonomously, and then go up, and then continue the inspection. And there, even using only a high quality camera, like for example the PTZ cam, pan tilt zoom camera from Boston Dynamics, is already giving you a return of investment on our customer in that case, right? Because then the robot will take only 1 week. Okay, it's not 3 months, and it's only one robot and not a group of 6 people, right? And on the other hand, at the same time, the same robot can also capture much more data as a human would be, which means you can also not only attach cameras, but you can also attach thermal vision or a 3D laser scan payloads, like for example, Leica BLK ARC or Leica RT360, right? Okay, there is an issue with changing batteries, but it might be solved in the future. So those are the scenarios where a robot can deliver you more data at the same time as a human and do it fully autonomously without intervention of humans. And at the price range, which is indeed giving you revenue back for your company.
This is actually a perfect example for where a robot really makes sense, right? And there might be others which are not that prominent, and maybe even when you think about this twice, it probably doesn't make sense. Right. So, for example, if you're talking about a normal transportation robot, which just moves things from A to B, there are tons of systems out there which are already doing this job. But when we're talking about fully autonomous transportation systems, those are really difficult to set up. And especially if you're having a changing environment, it becomes really difficult. Also technically very difficult to calculate the path and even reach a certain amount of speed, or just the efficiency of those robots can go down dramatically because you have to be very slow. You don't have the capabilities to calculate everything. And this is actually a problem, what you know from autonomous driving in streets, right? So either you be extremely defensive with your robot, so you are extremely slow, and then you're becoming very soon very ineffective in, for example, in a factory environment. And we see this with a couple of partners already, where they just said, okay, we are not there. We can take an automation system, like a standard delivery system, which is running on tracks or have different navigation capabilities. So you can't be really effective with this type of things, or you have to change your environment to adapt to the robot, so the robot can go very fast in this factory, for example. And this is a very difficult trade-off where a lot of people think, hey, with AI, we can solve everything. But the reality, it's not, right? So the reality is still we are at the point where we have this problem that AI doesn't solve everything, and where we have to still continue to improve the robustness of these systems to be really effective in these environments. And so for your use case where you have an environment, the focus is really around make it easy to set up this robot, make it easy to navigate the robot, so every worker can actually set up this robot to perform this task, what a lot of more people have done before. And I think this is really the key, and this is, I think, one of the big benefit of your platform, what we are together developing at the moment, to really solve this gap. And to be honest, we are not solving the real, I would say, technical challenges and improving AI models, improving things. We do this as well, but we are, for this first use case, we are really optimizing the operations and optimizing, lower the cost of operation by using these robots. And I think this is really the key improvement. And this is also what I see the big innovation of this whole thing, because it's not a technical innovation. It's more like how you integrate the existing robot, with existing technologies into existing use cases, which just get optimized.
This is. I couldn't summarize it better, Gunter.
Very complicated, and I'm not a native speaker, so it's sometimes a little bit confusing for me as well.
and to close maybe this conversation about picking goods from point A to B, and autonomous systems also about this, right? You will definitely find a lot of existing robots for delivery food, for example. There are different platforms for this, and our platform enables to also integrate those robots, that they can work together, that those platforms can work interchangeably. You will definitely see a lot of also Ubiquiti robots as a platform or as a base, and then a lot of different payloads to deliver you food in a restaurant, for example, or in a hotel. But again, it's a cool thing to choose the right platform, which is cost attractive, and then you need also some software which we can deliver to manage your fleet. But talking about big trucks or big components bringing things from A to B, and I'm not talking about maybe things but people. I don't know if you heard about this. One of our reply companies, Autonomous Reply, is very successful in a pilot in delivering the autonomous shuttle buses in a business park. In German, it's called Gewerbepark in Regensburg, where those shuttle buses are delivering people already from point A to B autonomously. However, when we think about autonomous cars, the first company which comes always in our minds is, of course, Tesla. And to close our discussion, some interesting or funny fact. Have you heard that Washington Post wrote an article in Pennsylvania? Was a woman who gave birth in their Tesla. It's pretty new topic. What do you think about this?
Yes, it's of course very interesting. I don't know what the reason is why she's giving birth in the Tesla, because it was probably driving too slow or whatever. I don't know. I don't know, but I think it should be it shouldn't be the standard in the future, to be honest. And I don't want to. I personally believe that in general, this whole autonomous driving, autonomous flying, we are still a couple of years away from this, right? And so all the promise was made with AI solves basically every autonomous navigation problem and things like this. I think this is not the case, and you actually see. Also, that all the regulations around this is taking much longer than probably we have expected, right? So you see this actually in the drones. So a couple of years ago, we thought that our pizza will be delivered by drones in maybe in 2022, and I don't believe this, right? So I personally think there are use cases where it totally makes sense. And I was talking to a lot of companies over the last year, actually, which are doing long range drone flying and delivery drones in certain areas, which totally makes sense. But those are always corner cases. And the amount of regulations behind this to actually make this working is huge. So I would say I don't want to become across so pessimistic, but it's there's still a lot of work to do to actually make this real. And so the focus on use cases, what we are doing together, for example, or on inspection use cases where you use drones in defined environments where a lot of regulations may not apply in the same way you do it if you're flying pizza to private homes. It's yeah, I think it's yeah, in summary, it will just take a while.
I see we are almost, getting into political topics right now. This never-ending story about, Asian countries like China, Taiwan, EU, and US, where the chain works usually like this. That Asian countries, they're really innovating and bringing something to the market, and then it comes to reality in EU, which firstly starts with regulations, which
that's true.
yeah.
But I mean, one of my COVID hobbies was actually reactivating my pilot license again, and the amount of things you actually have to consider if you just take off a plane is huge, and so it took me a while, and a lot of technologies which are used in even airplaning and piloting a plane. It's technologies which are almost 100 years old. We are still on radio communications with voice. So, and there's really hard to interact and integrate these type of systems into the same air traffic control what is present today. And this is just a very simple thing. And of course, to make the airspace safe and also all the other data compliance regulations around this. But I think this is not even the biggest one. It's just to make this safe that if you're flying things over your private home, that it's not crashed into something, and who is insured and how does the insurance works, and all these little tiny details which are taking ages, right? And that's why I'm always a little bit concerned that we are talking about all the nice technical innovations, but in the end we have a lot of other challenges to overcome, which even goes into, as you said, political things or responsive AI, where you really have to make a decision on where you want to crash into when you can't escape and things like this. So this is a lot of things which needs to be discussed and to really have a proper system developed.
Definitely, and I hear and also the audience, Gunter is the right expert to talk about these topics because, about drones or in general traffic control. Gunter, you are the owner of a pilot license as well, right?
I'm reactivating my pilot's license right now because of COVID.
yeah, but you were flying on your own, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cessna or similar airplane propellers. So I will try to, schedule maybe a meeting with you one upon a time. But I still have a voucher received from my wife for flying a Cessna, indeed, and I can take one person as a visitor, as a guest with me, and my wife don't want to, even though she gave this as a gift for me. So maybe there will be an occasion in spring. Tell me. I will be more than happy if you can be my guest and we can fly together in Cessna.
Cool. Should I fly, or you don't trust me?
I do trust. I can only be a side. I cannot be a main pilot. I can only be a co flying person. Okay, Gunter, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you. I hope it won't be the last episode with you together because we have plenty of information talking about our platform, about use cases, possibilities in the robotic area. So stay tuned to the Limcore platform on the website, on YouTube, on Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, depending where you are hearing to this. And Gunter, I wish you all best for the upcoming 2022.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to meet you again and talk to you next time on another robotics podcast.
Thank you.
You are listening to Limcore's podcast, pushing the limits of innovation and productivity in business and daily life.